Hello, everyone. We've just now opened up this listening session. I'll give it a few moments to let people roll in before we get started. So we'll get going here in just a minute or two. I'll keep an eye on the number of participants. I want to thank everybody for taking your time to come and join us today. This will be a very important session for us as we move forward on environmental justice within NIFA. Okay, it's 2 minutes after, and I think we should probably just get going with this listening session. And I want to again thank all of you. Welcome to this listening session from USDA NIFA on the topics of environmental justice. Some of the background on this, and you'll hear more details as this proceeds, but in April of 2023, President Biden issued an executive order number 14096 on environmental justice. It's an all of government executive order to implement programs that advance environmental justice for their stakeholders and for their constituents. And you'll learn more about that as we proceed. Part of the requirements are for agencies such as the Department of Agriculture and others to develop strategic plans for environmental justice. And USDA is indeed working on a strategic plan for environmental justice. And subordinate agencies at the department level will also be working on implementation plans or action plans for environmental justice. So as NIFA proceeds with that, what we want to make sure is that we get input from you as our stakeholders and offer opportunities to communicate issues that are important to you as we move forward with that. Justin, why don't we proceed to the next slide, please? So we do have a few slides to go through as we proceed, but I always like to begin our slide presentations with this slide, the non-discrimination statement. I won't read through it, but I do want to reinforce that all of these issues in this statement are just very important to us at NIFA. Adherence to civil rights laws and opportunities for everybody as we move forward. And if you have complaints or if you have concerns that you want to convey to us or through other leaders within USDA, the information is in this slide for you to do so. So if you need this, please reach out and we can provide this information to you so that you can do what you wish to do as well. But it's very important to us, and we want to make sure that you're aware of this. Let's proceed to the next slide. Okay, so a few items on the logistics of this session. First of all, this is a listening session rather than a webinar because of a listening session. Our primary intent is to receive input from you. We're not presenting a seminar in any of our programs or any of our activities. This is solely about getting input from you, our stakeholders. This session is being recorded right now. Closed captioning is being provided for those that need it and benefit from it. You could call this 1-888 number, so 888-799-0125, and select option 2 if you need some support with Zoom. You're having trouble with your Zoom client as we're proceeding with this meeting. You'll be able to provide comments to us during the listening session. You'll be able to do that verbally, and we'll capture it because we're recording the session. So you'll have about 2 minutes. Try to keep your comments to 2 minutes because we do want to make sure that we provide an opportunity for everybody to provide their comments to us. And as we proceed, and if time allows, as we get more toward the end of this, there might be opportunities for an additional round. But for the time being, please keep your comments to roughly 2 minutes, and we will have a timer that we're using for that to just roughly measure. If you would like to provide written comments in addition to or instead of your verbal comments, you can send them to this dedicated email address for the comments associated with this listening session. That's ej.nifa@usda.gov. ej.nifa@usda.gov. And we'll have that available for written input all the way to September 6th. So a couple weeks from now. And eventually we will be posting this session, this recording, and you can see the URL that's provided for that. That'll be at www.nifa.gov/events/EJ-listening-session on August 24th. So thank you very much, or August 24, that's the year instead. Let's move on to the next slide. Those are just some of the logistics. So on the verbal comments, there will be 2 minutes per person for verbal comments. If you would like to make a verbal comment, raise your Zoom emoji hand and we'll see it, and we'll take those in order as we receive them. You will be unmuted by Justin, and then we'll let you know when you can when it's your turn to speak. So just raise your hand, and then in turn we'll be turning off your muted microphone so you can speak. Written comments submitted in the Q&A as well, not only on the email link that we have, but there is a Q&A box at the bottom of Zoom here, and you can leave some comments in there as well, and we'll capture those along with other written comments on the dedicated website. So please provide, again, those in writing by September 6th, but also here during the session in the Q&A box. And we won't be providing responses during this session. And some of you might have questions about this NIFA program or that NIFA program or other activities. That's not what this meeting is about. This meeting is intended solely to be a listening session and capture your input so that we can use that as we're developing our plans at NIFA regarding environmental justice. So with that, we do have a couple of special guests that are joining us today to conduct this listening session. And our first person that I'm just so happy to introduce is the Associate Director for Programs in NIFA, Dr. Dion Toombs. Dion, like I said, is our acting director, associate director. Previously, she was an acting director of NIFA for a period of time. And before that, she was the director of the Office of the Chief Scientist, also within USDA. Before that, she had a lot of her career was right here in NIFA as an NPL and a program specialist as well. So she knows our process. She knows what we're working on here, and I'm just really pleased that she's joining us today. So Dion, I'll hand it over to you.
All right, wonderful. Good afternoon, and thank you, Kevin, for that introduction. It is a pleasure to be here with you today as we hold this listening session so that we can gather your input on potential NIFA actions related to environmental justice. The larger whole of government effort to develop environmental justice strategic plans is a key deliverable of President Biden's executive order, as you heard Dr. Kephart mention, Executive Order 14096, revitalizing our nation's commitment to environmental justice for all. The strategic plan is being developed in accordance with guidelines and performance measures set forth by the White House Council on Environmental Quality. USDA is committed to environmental justice as demonstrated in recent release of the Phase 2 of the Environmental Justice Scorecard. Say that fast 5 times. Scorecard. The scorecard for the USDA in July 24. At USDA, we have 70 Justice 40 covered programs, including 29 programs that are funded by the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, the Inflation Reduction Act, or both. Through President Biden's Investing in American agenda and other sources, USDA has nearly $91 billion available through its Justice 40 covered programs in fiscal years 2022 through 2027. As mentioned, In the Environmental Justice Scorecard, USDA NIFA uses listening sessions to glean insights on the need for expanded programs focused on health equity, the need for expanded research identifying priorities and needs of marginalized communities and those with environmental justice concerns, and the need to continual learning from a range of traditional ecological knowledge related to agroecology and sustainability. And we do hope that today's listening session will further this effort. Additional NIFA highlights from the Environmental Justice Scorecard includes our Next Gen program, which has provided $263.5 million through 33 funded projects to support training of 20,000 scholars at minority serving institutions in agriculture career development. The NIFA administered competitive grant program is delivering on USDA's commitment to diversity and strengthening agricultural workforce development. NIFA's commitment to technical assistance is another highlight. NIFA and USDA Agriculture Research Service partnered to conduct a series of capacity building workshops for 1890 and 1994 land-grant universities, as well as Hispanic serving institutions to enhance their financial and project management capacity. The events held at the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff and Fort Valley State University attracted 165 participants. Within the Agriculture and Food Research Initiative, Foundation and Applied Sciences program, NIFA developed a new program priority in FY23 called Environmental Justice. This is program A1461. In the first year pilot of the program, nearly $1 million was awarded for a collaborative project led by researchers at North Carolina A&T State University and 1890 Land Grant Institution to develop methods to measure how federal investments translate to community impact. Over 2 years, NIFA more than doubled its investment in minority serving institutions, including historically Black colleges and universities, insular area land grant universities, Hispanic serving institutions, and tribal colleges and universities. Across NIFA's portfolio, the agency invested $528 million in fiscal year 2020, 2023 in minority serving institutions, representing a more than $260 million increase from fiscal year 2021 total investment of $253 million. As those examples illustrate, NIFA's commitment to J40 initiatives established under the Executive Order 14008 has indeed led to increased support of minority serving institutions. In fiscal year 2023, nearly 50 million of the J40 covered programs went to support one or more of the 7 categories of investment, which include climate change, clean energy and energy efficiency, clean transit, affordable and sustainable housing, training and workforce development, remediation and reduction of legacy pollution, and development of critical clean water and wastewater infrastructure. Through NIFA's Justice 40 covered programs, we are funding work that advances agriculture research, allows for outreach to underserved communities, and promotes development focused on food production, agriculture, natural resources, and human sciences. Here are some examples of the Justice 40 initiative in action. In 2021, NIFA's Distance Education Grant Program funded a project at the University of Puerto Rico focused on training extension agents, farmers, and community members in aquaponic production in FY23. Puerto Rico faced extreme weather with the aftermath of Hurricane Fiona and heat waves that summer. Real-time virtual communication, video-based reports, and the existence of a chat network between distance education hubs allowed for the fast reporting and sharing of information within the network of extension agents and community members. The infrastructure, skill-based capacity, and relationships supported by USDA NIFA help keep 5 aquaponic sites running and save hundreds of fish during a weather-based crisis when travel on the island was difficult. 8 extension agents and 58 community members have been trained through this program so far. In fiscal year 2023, NIFA's Hispanic Serving Institutions Education Grants Program invested over $15 million in higher education programs to develop outstanding students capable of enhancing the nation's food, agriculture, natural resources, and human sciences professional and scientific workforce. One of these projects, awarded to Northern Arizona University, aims to develop an integrated education experience and workforce preparation program for undergraduate students at the intersection of USDA's mission-critical issues of forest, fires, and floods, known as F3 for short. More than 30 students from diverse backgrounds will participate in a 3-semester program, including coursework on the socio-ecological issues of F3 professional engagement opportunities to learn about the workforce needs and career opportunities, a paid internship and capstone activity conducting mentored research, faculty advisor mentorship, and other networking opportunities. This funding opportunity within NIFA's Workforce Development Program aligns with the efforts of minority-serving institutions to support academic development and career attainment of underrepresented groups. These are merely a couple of examples of NIFA's Justice 40 initiatives at work. Again, I thank you for joining us today for this listening session. Now, I would like to introduce Dr. Catherine Doyle, Environmental Justice and Justice 40 Initiative Lead with the USDA Office of Budget and Program Analysis, who will briefly discuss the USDA-wide effort towards Justice 40 Initiative and environmental justice. Thank you, and enjoy this listening session.
Thank you so much, Dr. Toombs. It's great to be here with you all. Thank you so much. So as Dr. Toombs mentioned, I'm Catherine Doyle Capitman, and I'm at the Department of Agriculture's Environmental Justice and Justice 40 Initiative Lead. And it's a real honor to serve in this role. So as you heard a little bit about, USDA agencies provide support and leadership on a broad array of work: food, agricultural, natural resources, rural development, nutrition, education, and a number of other related topics. We strive to create opportunities to improve human health and the environment in all communities that may be affected by our work, while also seeking to balance environmental burdens and ensure that these burdens do not fall disproportionately on communities with environmental justice concerns or those that are underserved. This concept is at the core of this work on environmental justice, seeking to understand what communities experience benefits and which experience burdens from government-funded activities, and ensuring these burdens and benefits are not inequitably distributed. USDA, as Dr. Toombs indicated, is strongly committed to upholding our work on environmental justice and equity and all the principles that are contained therein, and infusing these principles and practices in all of our work across the department. USDA's environmental justice vision is to ensure that just treatment and meaningful involvement is provided in association with all federal activities that we conduct, and that people are fully protected from disproportionate and adverse human health and environmental effects, and have equitable access to sustainable, healthy, and resilient environments in which they can live, work, learn, and practice whatever they want to. Basically, just like creating environments that they can really flourish in, and ensuring that there is an inequity in how those benefits from our services are provided. In USDA's forthcoming Environmental Justice Strategic Plan, which you've heard referenced a few times, USDA is committed to advancing distributive, corrective, procedural, representative, and restorative justice through a broad range of priorities. And just to highlight some of these commitments that we have articulated in our forthcoming strategic plan, we are committed to supporting inclusive, sustainable economies, mitigating legacy pollution, protecting communities from environmental hazards, promoting climate-smart agriculture and energy solutions, implementing consistent, meaningful public engagement, and addressing barriers to access of federal resources, services, and programs. We're committed to minimizing disproportionate and adverse impacts on communities with environmental justice concerns, and to addressing and resolving environmental issues and complaints as they arise. We're committing to integrating, as very pertinent to our conversation today, best education, research, outreach, and technical assistance into programs so that they meet the needs of tribal nations, the public we serve, our stakeholders, and our partners. We're committed to collaborating with federal, tribal, state, and local governments, non-governmental organizations, and private individuals to address the underlying conditions that put people and communities at risk. And finally, we're committed to increasing the awareness, skills, abilities, and capacities of USDA leadership and staff regarding environmental justice. And we will strive to ensure sufficient capacity to support this work and the aspirations set forth in our strategic plan. So what I've just shared is really focused on what the Department of Agriculture in a broad sense is doing. Shifting to a focus on today's engagement, the National Institute of Food and Agriculture is a shining example, I have to say, of an agency that has made extensive and admirable strides in infusing equity and environmental justice across their work. NIFA truly is one of USDA's leaders in this field, and it is no surprise that they're holding this engagement. They really do want to hear your feedback. They want to shift, and they want to understand. They want to learn from you in this public session. So as we transition into today's engagement, I want to thank you all so deeply and appreciate you for your time, and really just share that I'm looking forward, as we all are, to your comments and questions and feedback, and all of which will really help USDA and NIFA's ability to promote and serve the American public. So thank you so much for your time. I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Adam Wilkie, National Program Leader in the National Institute of Food and Agriculture's Division of Global Climate Change, who will help lead us into today's listening session. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Doyle-Kapitman, and thank you to Dr. Kephart and Dr. Toombs for your opening remarks, exemplifying the USDA leadership support for environmental justice. Before we open the floor for this listening session, a quick reminder of session format on the screen. The National Institute of Food and Agriculture is collecting input and insights through this session to strengthen our program delivery. We welcome all comments on how the National Institute of Food and Agriculture can most effectively work towards achieving environmental justice. Your input is valued and appreciated. Now I will pass it over to Dr. Justin Peppers, Program Specialist in the Division of Global Climate Change, who will serve as the session moderator.
Hello, everyone. How's everyone doing today? My name is Justin Peppers, and I will be moderating comments at this time. It is open to the floor, so please use your virtual hand if you want to be called on, or you can also send comments to us through our box. So at this time, we are open for questions. And also, as a side note, just want to put out there, as you're making your comments, we'll have this timer here that will count down and give you the allotted time that you have left to leave your comments. And at that time, we'll adjust as needed to the appropriate person who needs to speak next. So I see there's someone here. Hold on a second. Okay, Mr. John Paul Jones. And I see that you're on mute. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Yes, thank you. This is John Paul Jones with Grow Greener Inglewood in Chicago, where we went through a HUD initiative where they created environmental justice index zones because of some zoning and land use disparities. How will your program help to remediate some of these disparities in some of these pre-identified areas where HUD has identified some inequities have occurred? And how would your department interface with different consent decrees, HUD or other federal agencies?
Okay, thank you for your comments, sir. Just wanted to reiterate that is a listening session, so I know some folks may have questions, but this is just intended to take in your comments to inform policies going forward. So all comments are welcome. Questions may not necessarily be able to be answered at this time, but just wanted to put that out there for the audience. Are there any more questions or anyone that would like to make any other comments? Okay, I see we have a Jay host. Here you go. And make sure that your mic is unmuted.
All right, I can. So I've had some confusion with the difference between rural and urban. So I guess I would like clear definitions because it seems like different government agencies define urban and rural differently. And there are different benefits for each bucket. So I feel like getting those definitions in line across governmental agencies will help eliminate confusion about what you qualify for and what you don't qualify for. Also, I would love to see environmental justice for oil and gas. So where I am, we have stripper wells, oil and gas wells. We have gas pipelines. We have landfills. So these are things I would like to see included in the environmental justice category. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your comments. And I see that there is another person here. Let's see, we have Josh Wilson. Let me go ahead and open that up and feel free to unmute your mic, please.
Yeah, your efforts of pushing biotechnology in our public lands and our food without an environmental impact statement and unlabeled genetic engineering is reckless. You're going to hurt our biosphere more than you help it by not putting, well, first, not having an environmental impact statement, but the new changes to the NEPA Act and the Endangered Species Act will help promote biotech in animals, cloning, and it's been hidden from the public. And you guys really need to have conversations about what you're truly actually doing with APHIS, Animal Plant Health Inspection Services, deregulation of stacked traits. And please stop, because what you're going to do is start world issues. You need to look at having an environmental impact statement done on your actions and stop allowing and you guys is writing off corporations that are going to be working in these realms and pushing it without any of them having a responsibility for their actions. It's stupidity. You guys will be the mockery of the world once this is shown. So knock it off with your recklessness, please. Oh, and visit byandforthepeople.org to learn all the truth about it with more than 2 minutes of time, which is. Oh, and if I have more time, I'll keep rapping. There's no clock, so I don't know where I'm at. And to not be able to have a conversation on this stuff, and for me to have to just spend 9 months reading your strategic plans.
Apologize for cutting you off, sir. You had ran out of time. Just as a precursor for the next people that I call on, if you want to, feel free to identify the organization with, if you want to do that, or yourself. I am calling you out by the names that I see in the queue. I apologize in advance if I do mispronounce the name incorrectly. But also just want to reiterate that time is limited to 2 minutes. So in some instances, you may be cut off in the middle of something that's not intentional. It's just we want to give everybody a chance to give input. So if there's anyone else, I can call in at this time. I see that there are some statements here in the comment box from Oliomibo Asiligon. I, again, apologize if I mispronounced it correctly, but the question is, does USDA NIFA offer internship opportunities to international students studying in U.S. universities? In the chat, I did put a link to our page for any type of technical assistance in terms of international students and universities. It'll go more into detail as far as what NIFA does. This is not really a session to answer questions, but I will say that there are fellowships that are in more detail on the website. So also, I see there is another comment from Mr. John Paul Jones, who spoke earlier. Can urban area be reclassified as rural in order to allow housing affordability through USDA home programs? The south and west side of Chicago has thousands of vacant lots that can and are being repurposed for food production and agriculture. It should be declared as rural communities. So I'll make a note of that there in terms of the notes we take from this listening session. Are there any other questions, comments that anyone would like to make? Okay, I see Mr. Josh Wilson. I'm going to go ahead and unmute you. Feel free to, if I didn't pronounce your name correctly, which I'm pretty sure I did in this case, say who you are and the organization you're with. And I see you're still muted, so feel free to unmute yourself.
I didn't realize I could play twice, so I'll try to slow it down and then just hit it because there's nobody else in these chat rooms. So I'll just drop knowledge on y'all for a minute in 2-minute segments. So my name is Josh Wilson. I'm the president of byandforthepeople.org. I have been making public comments on USDA APHIS for over 14 years. I have watched USDA APHIS biotechnology regulation standards deteriorate since the Obama administration. I find that the new changes from executive order, recent changes that were pushed by executive order on the NEPA Act, that's the National Environmental Policy Act, and combined with the Endangered Species Act that was also just rewritten a couple months ago, will prove to be the most reckless thing that humans have ever done to nature. That is a certainty. Time will show it. The way that we are taking these programs, pushing international money and just funneling trillions of dollars into science programs, it is really a hand over our natural biodiversity to corporations, is going to prove in very short time what humans can actually do to destroy the planet. Please, anyone looking, look into the new Endangered Species Act and start thinking biotech on anything you hear that's climate change related. Thank you. Oh, I didn't know if it's 2 minutes. I need a timer. I'll just keep going then.
Justin, is your microphone working or is it still not working? I think our moderator has frozen. So Mr. Wilson, I will stop you at the 2 minutes point so that other people have an opportunity to comment if they would wish to do so. So I will take over from Justin Peppers. I am Rachel Melnick, as he is cut off. Unfortunately, his microphone stopped, as occasionally happens. But I will go ahead and say if anyone would like to provide additional comments, please go ahead. We will be taking comments related to USDA National Institute of Food and Agriculture and our programs. Please raise your hand. Irene Grimberg, I have given you permission to talk, so please unmute yourself and provide comments.
Okay, thank you. I am Irene Grimberg from Western SAR at Montana State University, along with my colleagues, some of which are here. We run grant programs, and one problem, we run grant programs centered on producers, agricultural producers, researchers, and also students. And one problem that we encounter over and over from our grantees is the lack of access of processing facilities. So we are working with a lot of rural states that they produce raw material, raw food, but the value added for that is not there. That is very hard to process for them and sell the products. So I wonder if you would consider to increase those kind of initiatives, particularly in rural areas and faraway areas, including tribal land as well. Thanks.
Great, thank you for your comment. We have another comment in the chat that is food ingredients should include applied products like pesticides and fertilizers. So I will add that to our answer so everyone will be able to read that.
I'm back. Can you hear me, Rachel?
I can hear you. I will gladly turn over moderation back to you.
Okay, sorry about that, folks. I am back. So if you would like to raise your hand or leave a comment, feel free to do so. Okay, I see a Christina Chanis. Let me go ahead and unmute you. Okay, Miss Hannes, you've been unmuted. Please feel free to talk.
Afternoon. Thank you. My name is Christina Chanes. I'm with the University of the Virgin Islands. I'm an outreach specialist, and my comments are specifically related to grant opportunities with USDA across all areas, NRCS, RMS, FSA, USDA, NIFA, USDA, blah, blah, blah. I'm curious as to whether with these environmental justice opportunities that are coming up and the billions of dollars that are coming out of J40, if NIFA or USDA overall would consider offering opportunities for mobilization funding of up to 25%. Reimbursable grants are hard for small community-based organizations and NGOs, along with tribal and low resource disadvantaged communities. And it's imperative that we have an opportunity to mobilize in low resource communities where we are eligible to actually compete without having to, as a low resource, at risk population, have to fund the work in advance. If you could please consider that, that would be ideal for all communities that face economic difficulties and are trying to address climate and environmental justice across the United States and the insular territories. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your comments. Okay, I apologize, a little more logistics input here. Someone had let me know I did not say how to raise hand if you're calling in on the phone. To answer that question, I don't necessarily know. Is there someone on the phone with a raised hand? Let's see here. Is there someone phoning in with that would like to make a comment?
I believe if you are dialing in on the phone, you're able to dial *9 on the phone's dial pad to raise and lower your hand.
Thank you very much. Also, there is another a comment from Ms. Irene Grimberg. Does NIFA or USDA have a definition of environmental justice? I've heard phrases like disproportionate impacts, legacy, pollution, but not a coherent explanation of the impacts or categories. Something as simple as this would be a great help as we organize our next round of grants. And thank you for that comment. And again, I'll just put the link in the chat again for anyone that may have chimed in after the fact for any type of technical questions as far as some of the programs, grants, and services that we offer. You're more than welcome to peruse the URL that we have provided. Okay, I see we have I apologize in advance if I mispronounced this incorrectly. Ailey Kent. I'm going to go ahead and unmute you. Please unmute your mic and feel free to speak.
All right, thank you so much. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
I'm calling in from the International Rescue Committee. We have a big food security and agriculture program across the country and work with many refugee and immigrant populations in the US who are doing a lot of really great community-based things to access food and to build better food systems, local food systems within their communities. And a lot of that has been done through NIFA grants. And I wanted to give one piece of sort of feedback and an observation we've had about some of these grants. I'm thinking primarily of like the Community Food Projects Competitive Grant Program and the GUSNIP program, which have been, well, maybe the CFP in particular has been at the same level of funding since it was founded in the 1990s. And it is really for the amount of work that goes into the proposal. I mean, we actually, as a larger agency, are able to, we have some pretty good capacity to put some of these grants together. But I could see how the the level of the proposal, all of the things called for, but with GusNIP and a lot of other NIFA grants are really overwhelming and pose a big barrier to smaller organizations applying to those grants. Also, the 100% match requirement on a lot of those poses a huge barrier to very worthy communities from participating in those programs. I would also just reiterate that the level of funding probably needs to be updated, if at all possible, for those grants, and also just more approvals. I know that they're very popular programs, and usually only about less than 10% of the proposals are actually awarded. And clearly, there's a lot of great things going on around the country, and I think that USDA could really have much higher impact if they were able.
I apologize. Went over the time limit there, but feel free to re-enter the queue. We do have more time and space for additional comments. Hello, Miss Ailey Kent. You are back on the clock. Feel free to speak.
All right, thanks. All right, just thought I would wrap it up just by saying that I think that that NIFA can have a much larger impact if they're able to allocate and appropriate more money to their funding programs for community-based food programs. And I would also add that most of those programs are very much tied in with environmental justice goals as well. So as far as the particular focus of this call today, it's important to consider how some of the existing programs could benefit from environmental justice augmentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'll make a note of that. Any other folks like to chime in, leave a question or a comment, sorry, in the box? Anyone, please feel free to leave comments, make a comment. The floor is open. Okay. Once again, I'd like to thank everyone for their input, their comments. They've been duly noted. We appreciate any and all input from public and our stakeholders. But at this time, I'd like to turn it back over to Mr. Kevin Gephardt.
Thank you very much, Justin. Thank you. And thanks to everybody for helping us out today, participating, and especially those of you that jumped in with your verbal comments. I just want to encourage everyone to be thinking about additional comments, and you can send them to the email address that's posted here on the screen at ej.nifa@usda.gov. And if you have any problems with that, just reach out to one of us and we'll make sure that we address that. Thanks so much. We got some very helpful comments and thoughts that you were able to share with us, and I appreciate it very much. So with that, I think that we can conclude this session. Thank you.